So the third method is now the froth flotation, right? And you should know that this method is particularly used for sulfide ore. It is particularly used for the sulfide ores, like we did zinc blende and all, right? Now what actually apparatus do we use in froth flotation is that I am just going to draw to show you. See, what we have is, we have a tank, right, in which there is a rotating paddle containing a compressor like this. It can rotate actually. Fine holes indicating the compressor from which you can say the air can move out, and the compressed air. Now what we have is, we have water. This we have is water, and now what we are going to do, we are going to add a powdered ore. So let's make our ore again with the red and the green one. So this is the powder ore particles, green one indicating the ore, and the impurities along with that indicating the indicated by the red one. So this is what is the powder. Now what happens, the sulfide ore actually gets wet with the water. Sulfide ore actually gets wet with the water, and we want that it should not get so much wet. So to enhance the enhance the inwettability, what we do is, we add here the collector. We add collector to it. Collector is just a substance like you can say pine oil or fatty acid to enhance the wettability. To enhance the wettability. So this is what we are adding it to it. And along with that, we add one more substance, that is the froth stabilizer. It is the fourth stabilizer, which is just going to make the froth stable. That means so that the more froth is formed, like aniline, like cresol, etc. So they are just added. So now what we have is, we have water, we have a rotating paddle containing a compressor, we have a powdered ore indicated by red and green one, we added a collector to enhance the wettability, we added a froth stabilizer so that we can have the more froth. So what happens when the air is blown, and likewise due to agitation of the paddle, the froth just appears. So I'll draw a froth. So what happens, the froth appears. Now to this froth, what happens, the sulfide ores actually has the property to stick to it, so it gets stick to it, and we see that it is actually removed from the bottom, and what we left with the bottom is just the impurities. And now what we do, we just separate this froth into another chamber. So what happens when this froth, so we just separate it. So this is a froth, right, containing the sulfide ore. So after a few minutes, what we see that the time which will take it for, which we will give it for drying. After drying, then what will be left with, will be just left with the sulfide ore, right. So this is how the impurities got separated and the sulfide ore just got separated, because it has the ability to stick with the froth, right. So this is what is the froth flotation. Now suppose if I give you an ore and I ask you to separate it, so what you're going to do, you're going to do a similar method, and what happened after that, it sticks to the froth and it is separated. And what about these impurities, clay, sand, pebbles, whatever, they are going to just settle at the bottom. But if in case, suppose I give you a mixture in which I have one sulfide ore, another sulfide ore and impurities. So what you're going to do here, again you're going to follow a froth flotation process. So what happens when you do it here, so these two are just going to cling with the froth. They are going to cling with the froth, and impurities definitely will get removed because they will settle at the bottom. But now if we wish to remove either of them, then what we will do, we can just separate them, these two sticking to the froth, we can just separate them by just adjusting the percentage of oil, or you can say proportion of oil in water. Because when you adjust the proportion of oil in water, one gets more wet and the other gets less wet, and accordingly the one sticks to the froth and other do not sticks to the froth. And likewise there is one more method, you can make use of depressant. You can make use of depressant like NaCN. And what actually this depressant do actually, it is that this depressant actually combines with one of them right? It combines with any one of them and just you can say suppress the effect, like that it will not allow one of them to cling to the froth because it will itself combine with them, and it will allow the other substance with which it is not going to react, it will allow that to stick with the froth, and likewise the both will get separated. So this is our froth flotation. So that means froth flotation is particularly it is used for the sulfide ores, because those ores only have the property to cling with the froth, and we want that the ore should cling with the froth. The basic principle behind that is the same, right, that it should cling to the froth and we can separate it with the impurities. So this is what is the froth flotation.